Kai had never been to a dance hall like this. The city around him glittered with neon lights, and flying vehicles buzzed through the sky like metallic fireflies. But inside the hall, it was different. The chaos of the streets was replaced by a symphony of sound and movement. Holographic ribbons of color floated above the crowd, shifting with the beat of music that pulsed like the heartbeat of the city itself. Aliens of every shape and size danced alongside humans, their limbs moving in ways Kai couldn't even imagine. It was a place where everyone came to forget rules, gravity, and sometimes, even themselves. Kai, a young engineer, had come because his friend insisted. He wasn't much of a dancer. He preferred the logic of machines, the predictable whirring of gears, and the satisfaction of a perfectly running system. But his friend had promised him an experience he'd never forget. Now, standing near the edge of the dance floor, Kai realized just how right his friend had been. The music shifted suddenly, from a slow, melodic tune to a fast, lively beat. People twirled and leaped, their movements synchronized and free at the same time. Kai watched, mesmerized. When a girl stepped into his line of sight, she caught his attention immediately, not just because she was the only one with a prosthetic leg that glinted under the lights, but because of the energy she radiated. She smiled, confident and mischievous, as if she knew a secret that everyone else had forgotten. Kai felt a little nervous. People were watching, the music was loud, and he didn't want to embarrass himself. But then she walked toward him with quick, sure steps, stopping right in front of him. "Hi," she said, her voice soft but full of warmth. I'm Lyra." "I'm Lyra." Kai blinked. He wasn't used to strangers approaching him in such a direct way, especially at a crowded dance hall. He opened his mouth to answer, but she cut him off with a laugh. "You look like you're just standing there to study the lights," she said. "Why don't you dance with me?" Kai hesitated. He wasn't a dancer, and she clearly knew it. But there was something about the way she moved, something that made him trust her immediately. Maybe it was her smile, or maybe it was the way she seemed completely at ease in a room full of strangers. I don't really know how to dance," he admitted, scratching the back of his neck. "That's okay," she said, stepping closer. "I'm not here to judge. Just follow my lead. You might surprise yourself." Before Kai could respond, she held out her hand. He stared at it for a moment, then slowly placed his own in hers. Her grip was firm but gentle, and there was a spark of energy, not electrical, not alien, just human. The music shifted again, slower now, more melodic. Lyra moved with a grace that seemed impossible for someone with one leg. Kai watched in awe as she spun lightly on her good leg, the prosthetic leg moving with precision and subtle mechanical help. He expected it to look artificial or awkward, but it didn't. She moved like water, fluid and natural. And somehow, she made him feel like he could do the same. "Just step with me," she whispered, leaning slightly closer. "I'll guide you." Kai followed her lead, feeling awkward at first. His feet tripped over themselves, and he nearly lost balance once. But Lyra adjusted her movements subtly, and he caught himself. Slowly, he started to find a rhythm. It wasn't perfect, but it was enough. "You're doing great," she said, smiling. "Really." Her voice was like encouragement in its purest form. Kai felt a warmth spreading through him, a strange mixture of pride and disbelief. He had never danced like this before. Not in any room, not even in his dreams. And yet, here he was, moving in sync with a girl who seemed unstoppable. The dance floor seemed to disappear around them. All that existed was the music, the light, and the feeling of movement. Kai realized he hadn't felt this alive in a long time. Work, schedules, and the endless hum of machines had dulled something inside him, and now it was awakening. "You have a natural rhythm," Lyra said, as if reading his thoughts. "Most people don't notice it until someone else shows them how to move." Kai laughed, nervous but genuine. "I guess I've never had a good teacher." "You have one now," she replied, spinning effortlessly. "And I promise, it's going to be fun." He couldn't help but be swept along by her energy. There was no malice, no trickery, no expectation beyond the joy of the dance. It was simple, yet profound. Every step they took together was a small celebration, not just of movement, but of being human, of taking a moment to feel completely present. As the song changed again, faster this time, Kai noticed that people were starting to watch them. He expected judgment, maybe even laughter. But instead, he saw something unexpected. Faces of humans and aliens alike turned toward them, not in mockery, but in admiration. Lyra's movements were drawing attention, not because she had a prosthetic leg, but because she danced with such freedom and confidence that it was contagious. Kai felt a surge of pride, though he tried to hide it. He wasn't used to being noticed, especially not in a positive way. But when Lyra looked at him and smiled, it felt like they shared a secret that anyone who watched could feel, even if they didn't understand it fully. A reminder that joy, when shared, multiplies. At one point, the music softened again, and she leaned close, whispering something that made Kai pause. "I've never felt this joy before," she said. Kai froze. He hadn't expected her to speak so intimately, to reveal something so personal in the middle of a crowded hall. "Really?" he asked, surprised. She nodded. "I grew up somewhere, restrictive. People told me what I couldn't do, what I shouldn't try. Dancing like this, with someone who doesn't judge me, it's new. It feels amazing." Kai didn't know what to say. Words felt inadequate in the face of such honesty. All he could do was nod, feeling a strange mix of humility and gratitude. To think that something as simple as a dance could open a window into someone's soul, it was humbling. The song ended, but neither of them moved apart immediately. They stayed there, hands still touching, breathing slightly faster from the excitement. Around them, the crowd clapped and cheered. Kai realized that while the applause was for Lyra's skill, it also included him, quietly. He had stepped into the unknown and discovered a part of himself he hadn't known existed. Lyra grinned at him again. "See? That wasn't so bad, was it?" "No," Kai said, a genuine smile spreading across his face. "Not bad at all." And in that moment, he understood something important. The galaxy was full of wonders, alien species, advanced technology, floating cities, but sometimes, the most extraordinary thing was human connection itself. The ability to share joy, to inspire someone, to learn something new from another person. That was a kind of power all on its own. Kai didn't know what the night would bring next. He didn't know if he would ever dance like this again, or if he would meet anyone like Lyra in his lifetime. But for now, it didn't matter. For the first time in a long while, he felt alive, free, and part of something bigger than himself. As the lights shifted again, painting the hall in soft golden hues, Kai realized that the night had only just begun. And with Lyra by his side, he was ready for whatever came next. The night air outside the hall was cool, carrying the faint scent of metal from the city's hovering vehicles. Kai and Lyra stepped onto the balcony, overlooking the lights of the city that seemed to stretch forever. The distant hum of flying cars mixed with the soft chatter from the festival below. Kai's heart still raced from the dance, and he could feel a smile lingering on his face that refused to fade. "You were amazing out there," he said, glancing at Lyra. She laughed, a sound that was light and musical. "You weren't so bad yourself," she replied. "I mean, for someone who said they couldn't dance." Kai shook his head, feeling both embarrassed and proud. "I just followed you. I didn't do much on my own. That's how it starts," she said, her eyes sparkling. "You learn by following, by trusting, by letting yourself move with someone else. The rest comes naturally." Kai watched her, curious. There was something about Lyra that made even simple advice feel profound. Perhaps it was her confidence, or her ability to see beauty in small things. He thought about her prosthetic leg, a sleek, silver design that gleamed under the balcony lights. Despite the advanced technology, she moved with such natural grace that it was hard to notice it at first. "Do you Always dance like that? He asked. Lyra shook her head. No. I used to be afraid. Afraid of falling, afraid of what people would think. My leg made things harder. At least in my mind. I spent so long hiding who I was, pretending to be careful and cautious all the time. But tonight, she paused, looking down at her prosthetic leg. Tonight I realized I can move freely, just like anyone else. Kai nodded slowly. He understood that feeling more than he could explain. Working with machines all day, following protocols, and measuring everything in numbers had taught him control. But joy? Freedom? Those were harder to calculate, harder to reach, and somehow, dancing with Lyra had opened a door he didn't even know existed. Do you want to learn a few moves? Lyra asked suddenly, her grin returning. I can show you some steps that aren't too tricky. Kai hesitated. He had never thought of himself as someone who could really dance. But looking at her enthusiasm, he felt a spark of courage. Okay, he said finally. Let's try. She guided him back to a quieter part of the hall, where the music was softer and the crowd less crowded. First, she said, you need to feel the rhythm. Don't think too much. Just listen to the beat and let your body follow. Kai concentrated. He closed his eyes for a moment, letting the thrum of the music pulse through him. Slowly, he began to tap his foot in time. Lyra smiled and mirrored his movements, making subtle corrections without a word. Good, she said softly. Now try a small step forward, then back, in time with the beat. Kai followed, at first awkwardly. His steps were uneven, and he stumbled slightly, but Lyra's hand stayed firm in his, guiding him gently. There, she said. See? Not so hard. As they practiced, Kai began to notice something remarkable. Lyra's prosthetic leg didn't hold her back. Instead, it seemed to give her a kind of precision that made her movements smooth and balanced. She could spin, hop lightly, and pivot without hesitation. But more than that, she danced with a kind of joy that made it impossible not to smile. You make it look easy, Kai admitted. Lyra shook her head. It's not easy. I've practiced for years. But what makes it work is believing I can do it. That's something no machine can give you. That's human. Kai thought about that. Machines could be perfect, predictable, and precise. But humans had something else. Creativity, spontaneity, the courage to try, even when the outcome was uncertain. Dancing with Lyra, he realized, was a perfect example. No one knew exactly what would happen with each step, but that unpredictability made it exciting. They spent the next hour practicing small sequences. Kai stumbled several times, but Lyra's laughter and encouragement kept him going. Every time he thought he couldn't do a move, she found a way to break it down, to make it manageable. See, she said, guiding him through a spin. You just need to trust your body. See? Kai spun, surprisingly balanced, and felt a rush of pride. Lyra clapped lightly. Exactly. You did it. After a while, they sat on a bench to catch their breath. Kai looked at Lyra, noticing her smile, the faint glow of excitement in her eyes. He realized he had never met anyone like her before, someone who could take a challenge, embrace it fully, and turn it into something beautiful. Thank you, Kai said quietly. For what? She asked. For trusting me, for letting me dance with you, he replied. I didn't expect any of this, but I'm glad I did. Lyra's eyes softened. I'm glad too. Dancing isn't just about moving your body. It's about sharing a moment, a feeling, with someone else. And tonight, I wanted to share it with you. Kai felt a warmth spread through him. It wasn't just admiration or excitement. It was something deeper, a connection that reminded him why humans were capable of such joy, because they could reach out, trust, and create moments together. The music shifted again, this time to a gentle, flowing melody. Lyra stood and offered her hand. Want to try a dance without me guiding you? she asked. Kai hesitated, then nodded. I'll try. He stepped forward, feeling nervous but determined. He focused on the rhythm, on the flow of the music, on the memory of Lyra's guidance. For a moment, he stumbled. But then something clicked. His movements became smoother, more confident. He was no longer just following instructions. He was moving with the music, feeling it, letting it flow through him. Lyra watched, smiling. She didn't need to speak. Her eyes said everything. She nodded in encouragement, and Kai felt a surge of pride. He was dancing, really dancing on his own. When the song ended, he laughed, a little out of breath but exhilarated. I did it, he exclaimed. You did, Lyra said, grinning. See? You had it in you all along. They sat again, leaning against the railing of the balcony. Below them, the crowd continued to dance. But for Kai, the world had shifted. He realized that dancing wasn't just a skill or a form of entertainment. It was a way to connect, to express, to celebrate life itself. I never thought I could feel like this, he admitted. That's the point, Lyra said softly. Most people don't allow themselves to feel fully. They focus on work, rules, or fear. But when you let go, when you truly move, life becomes richer, more colorful, more alive. Kai nodded, understanding. He thought about the machines he worked with, the calculations he made, the rigid schedules he followed. None of them could compare to this moment, this feeling, this shared joy. The night grew deeper, and the city lights shimmered like distant stars. Kai and Lyra stayed on the balcony, talking, laughing, and sometimes moving to the faint beat of music from below. They shared stories of childhood, of dreams, of moments that shaped them. Each story, each laugh, each step of the dance brought them closer. Kai realized something important. Humans were resilient, adaptable, and full of hidden potential. Lyra's story reminded him that limitations were often only in the mind. The human spirit, once set free, could accomplish things that seemed impossible. By the time they returned to the dance hall, the crowd had thinned, but the energy remained. Kai felt lighter, freer, and more alive than he had in years. Lyra glanced at him and nodded. Ready for one more round? She asked. Kai smiled. Yes, let's dance. And so they moved together again, step by step, spin by spin, discovering new rhythms, new joys, and the simple, extraordinary magic of shared human experience. The hall was quieter now. The lights dimmed slightly as the night deepened. Only a few dancers remained, swaying gently to the soft music that floated through the space. Kai and Lyra had stepped to the edge of the dance floor, sitting on a low platform that overlooked the swirling crowd below. Kai could still feel the rhythm of the previous dances in his muscles. His feet ached slightly, but it was a pleasant, satisfying ache, the kind that reminded him he had pushed himself, tried something new, and succeeded. He looked at Lyra, who sat with her leg extended slightly, the prosthetic gleaming under the soft lights. You're really amazing, Kai said, almost in awe. The way you move, it's like you're not even limited by your leg. Lyra smiled, her eyes reflecting the glow of the holographic lights. I've spent a lot of time learning how to move with it, but it's not just the leg, it's how I think. I used to focus on what I couldn't do. Now I focus on what I can. Kai nodded slowly. He understood that feeling. Humans had a remarkable ability to adapt, to find ways around obstacles, and to turn challenges into strengths. Lyra's prosthetic leg wasn't a limitation. It was part of her story, part of what made her unique. You know, she said softly, I've never danced like this before. Not really. Growing up, I was always careful. People around me, they didn't see what I could do. They only saw what I couldn't. Kai listened, intrigued. Why didn't you tell anyone you wanted to dance? They would have laughed. Or told me it was impossible. And for a long time, I believed them. She paused, then added, but tonight, I didn't care. I just wanted to feel free. Kai thought about that. Freedom. It was something humans often took for granted. But not everyone had it. The ability to express joy, to take risks, to move without fear, these were things that made humans extraordinary in a galaxy filled with aliens who often valued efficiency over emotion. I think humans are special that way, Kai said quietly. We have this need to connect, to feel, to create. Machines can't do it. Aliens can't always understand it. But we can. Lyra looked at him, surprised. You really believe that? I do, Kai replied. And I think you're a perfect example. You've taken something that could have held you back and turned it into something beautiful. That's human. She smiled, touched by his words. I've never thought of it like that. They sat in silence for a moment, watching the dancers below. Even the few remaining dancers seemed to move differently now, slower, more deliberate, as if the night itself had slowed to match the calm in Kai and Lyra's corner. I want to teach others to dance, Lyra said suddenly. Not just steps, but how it feels. How it makes you alive. Kai raised an eyebrow. Teach others? Yes, she said, determination in her eyes. Everyone should feel this. Everyone should know that they can move, even if they think they can't. That's what dancing has taught me tonight. It's not about perfection. It's about joy. Kai nodded. He could see it in her eyes, a fire, a desire to inspire. Humans had this ability to uplift each other, to share experiences, and to create communities, even in the most unlikely places. It was one of the reasons humans had survived, thrived, and even explored the stars. You really believe joy can be taught? He asked. I do, Lyra said firmly. It's not just steps or rhythm. It's confidence, trust, connection, and anyone can learn that. If they try. Kai smiled. He thought about his own life, filled with calculations, measurements, and rules. He realized how much he had missed by not allowing himself to feel freely, to connect with others, to simply be alive. Lyra had reminded him of something fundamental, that being human was more than just existing. It was experiencing. The music changed again, this time to a slow, haunting melody. Lyra stood and held out her hand to Kai. One more? She asked, her eyes gleaming. Kai took her hand, feeling the familiar spark of energy between them. Yes, he said, with a newfound confidence. They moved together, slowly at first, then with more confidence. Kai felt the rhythm in his bones. His movements no longer awkward but expressive. Lyra guided him gently, correcting his posture, encouraging him with a smile, and occasionally letting him lead. It was a perfect balance. A shared dance that felt like a conversation without words. As they moved, Kai realized that Lyra's joy was contagious. It wasn't just the dance or her skill. It was the way she embraced life. The way she saw possibility where others saw limitation. He felt something shift inside him, a sense of purpose, a desire to carry this lesson forward. You know, he said between steps, this is more than just dancing. It's living. Lyra laughed softly. Exactly. And I want everyone to feel it. Every human, every alien. Anyone who has forgotten what it means to move freely and be happy. Kai nodded, inspired. Humans had a way of leaving marks on the universe that were different from machines or technology. Their emotions, creativity, and ability to connect created ripples that no one could ignore. Lyra was one such ripple, and tonight, he was lucky enough to be caught in it. The dance ended, and they sat again on the platform, breathing heavily, but smiling. Lyra's eyes shone with excitement and fulfillment. I've never felt this alive, she admitted. Kai looked at her, understanding. Me neither, not like this. They watched the city from above, the lights flickering like stars in the night. Kai realized that moments like this, shared, simple, human, were rare and precious. The galaxy was vast, filled with wonders and dangers, but humans had something unique: the ability to find joy even in small moments, to connect with one another, and to turn ordinary experiences into extraordinary memories. "I want to remember this," Kai said quietly. "Not just the dance, but everything. The feeling, the connection, the joy." "You will," Lyra replied softly. "Moments like this stay with you, even when life moves on. And they grow stronger when you share them." Kai smiled, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. He had been drawn into this night almost by accident, but it had become one of the most important experiences of his life. Dancing with Lyra had shown him that humans were capable of more than he had imagined: more resilience, more joy, more beauty than he had ever allowed himself to experience. They stood, ready to leave the hall, and Lyra turned to him. "I'm glad I danced with you," she said simply. Kai nodded, feeling the weight of the moment. "I'm glad too. You've shown me something I didn't know I needed." The night outside was quieter now, the city lights reflecting in the glass of the balcony. Kai and Lyra walked through the streets, talking about everything and nothing, sharing stories and laughing softly. Each step felt lighter than the last, as if the joy from the dance had infused their very being. "I think humans are amazing," Kai said finally. "We have this ability to feel, to connect, to lift each other up. Even in a galaxy full of wonders, it's our humanity that makes the difference." Lyra smiled, understanding completely. "Yes. And tonight, you've experienced it too. You've learned that joy, trust, and connection are more powerful than any obstacle." Kai nodded. He looked at the city around them, at the alien ships passing in the sky, and realized something profound. Technology, aliens, and advanced civilizations might dominate the galaxy in terms of power, but humans had something unique: the capacity to feel, to inspire, and to create joy even in small moments was something no machine or alien could replicate. As they walked back toward the hall, Kai felt a renewed sense of purpose. He didn't just want to dance. He wanted to carry this lesson forward, to show others, through actions and connections, that being human meant more than survival. It meant joy, creativity, and shared experience. Lyra glanced at him, her eyes warm. "Ready to face the next day?" she asked. Kai smiled, feeling confident. "Yes. And I think it will be brighter than ever." Together, they stepped into the night, carrying the light of their shared experience. The city buzzed around them, full of life, opportunity, and challenges. But for the first time, Kai felt fully prepared to meet it, not as an observer, not as a machine-driven thinker, but as a human being, alive and capable of extraordinary joy. The next morning, the city shimmered with a new kind of light. The sun rose slowly above towering spires and hovering vehicles, casting golden reflections across glass and metal. Kai walked beside Lyra through the bustling streets, carrying the memory of the previous night like a small flame inside him. They had promised each other to explore more of the festival. This city was known for its interstellar visitors, and today, the crowd would include not only humans, but beings from other worlds. Kai felt a little nervous. He had never been around so many aliens before, but the energy from dancing with Lyra gave him courage. "Are you ready for the next adventure?" Lyra asked, her eyes sparkling. Kai smiled. "I think so. But what exactly is the adventure?" Lyra laughed. "The adventure is everything: seeing the festival, meeting others, and maybe even teaching a few people to dance. Are you brave enough?" Kai nodded. He realized that bravery didn't always mean facing danger. Sometimes, it meant opening yourself to new experiences, connecting with others, and sharing joy. The streets were alive with colors, lights, and sounds. Merchants from distant planets displayed exotic wares. Vendors sold foods that steamed and shimmered under the morning sun. Holographic signs rotated above every doorway, showing entertainment schedules, announcements, and cultural messages. People and aliens moved side by side, sometimes bumping into each other, sometimes pausing to exchange greetings. Kai and Lyra wandered through the crowd, observing and enjoying the chaos. Everywhere they looked, life was in motion, unpredictable and beautiful. And yet, something stood out, a group of alien children struggling to dance to a simple beat. Their movements were awkward, mechanical, and hesitant, clearly unfamiliar with human-style dancing. "Do you see them?" Lyra whispered to Kai. "They need help. Just like I once did." Kai looked at the children. They seemed frustrated, trying to mimic movements they didn't understand. Their small limbs flailed, and one of them stumbled, almost falling over. "Maybe we can teach them," Kai said slowly. "Show them the rhythm, the joy of movement." Lyra's smile widened. "Exactly. Let's do it." They approached the children gently. Lyra knelt down to their level and smiled warmly. "Hi," she said. "Do you want to learn how to dance?" The children looked at each other, unsure. Finally, one timidly nodded. We try," he said. Lyra held out her hand. "Great. Just follow me. Step by step. Don't worry about mistakes. Dancing is about feeling, not perfection." Kai joined in, demonstrating basic movements, stepping slowly and deliberately. At first, the children copied him awkwardly, hesitant and unsure. But with each attempt, their movements became smoother. Lyra encouraged them constantly, guiding their limbs and correcting gently. "You're doing it!" she exclaimed as one of the children spun successfully. "See? You have rhythm already." The children laughed, the sound ringing like tiny bells. They were learning not just movements, but confidence. Kai watched, feeling a swell of pride. This was more than teaching dance. It was showing them that they could overcome fear, try new things, and feel joy in their bodies. He glanced at Lyra and realized something profound. Humans had this unique ability not just to survive, but to inspire, to lift others, to share experiences, and to turn challenges into celebrations. Even in a galaxy full of alien species, machines, and advanced technologies, it was humans who could create connections that changed lives. "Look at them," Kai whispered. "They're getting it. They're really feeling it." Lyra nodded, her eyes shining. "And this is just the beginning. One moment of joy can grow, ripple outwards. We don't just dance for ourselves. We dance for everyone who will see, who will try, who will feel." The children continued to mimic their movements, laughter and chatter filling the area. Some aliens watching paused, curious. A few of them tried to imitate the human-style dance themselves, their movements stiff but earnest. Kai encouraged them, and soon even more spectators joined in, creating a small circle of shared joy. Kai marveled at the scene. The simplicity of human expression, movement, rhythm, connection, had transcended species and technology. It reminded him of the previous night. When he first danced with Lyra, that same joy, the same spark, was spreading. And he realized something important. It wasn't about perfection or skill. It was about feeling alive and sharing that feeling. Lyra leaned closer to Kai and whispered, "Do you see now? That's what humans do best. We create joy, even in small moments. We inspire, we connect, we lift each other up, and nothing can take that away." Kai nodded, deeply moved. "It's incredible. We're not the strongest or the fastest, but we have this power of connection." "Exactly," Lyra said, "and the more we share it, the bigger it grows. One human moment can spark a chain reaction." As the day continued, Kai and Lyra wandered deeper into the festival. They found areas dedicated to art, music, storytelling, and technology. Everywhere they went, humans were creating, expressing, and sharing. They laughed, danced, and encouraged each other. Aliens observed, some skeptically at first, but many soon joined in, fascinated by the unrestrained joy humans displayed. Kai realized that humans had something machines and aliens didn't. the ability to find beauty and meaning in fleeting moments. That was why humans could thrive, even in a galaxy dominated by logic, rules, and power struggles. Humans were adaptable, creative, and endlessly inspiring. They came upon a large plaza where a holographic stage had been set up. Humans and aliens were gathered around, waiting for performers. Lyra turned to Kai. "Do you want to show them what you've learned?" she asked. Kai hesitated. He wasn't used to being in front of a crowd. But looking at Lyra, he felt courage. The lessons of the past night, trust, joy, and connection gave him strength. "Let's do it," he said finally. They stepped onto the stage, holding hands. Lyra nodded at him encouragingly. "Just feel the music. Don't think. Move." The music began, slow at first, then rising into a lively rhythm. Kai followed Lyra, trusting her guidance. His movements were smooth, confident, and expressive. The crowd watched, then began to clap along, and soon even the aliens were tapping their feet. As they danced, Kai felt something incredible. The energy of the audience merging with their own. Every step, every spin, every movement created a shared feeling that seemed almost tangible. It wasn't just dancing, it was communication, connection, and celebration all at once. When the song ended, the crowd erupted in applause. Kai felt a deep satisfaction, not from the recognition, but from knowing he had helped share this moment of human joy with others. Lyra smiled at him, her eyes shining. "See? Humans can change the world, one joyful step at a time." Kai realized she was right. The galaxy might be vast, filled with advanced species and powerful technologies. But humans had something unique. The ability to inspire, to connect, and to create joy, even in the smallest acts. It was a lesson he would carry forever. They left the stage, the energy of the festival still buzzing around them. Kai felt light, happy, and more alive than he had ever felt. Lyra looked at him with a grin. "You're a natural. Maybe next time, you'll teach others too." Kai laughed. "Maybe I will. I think I finally understand what it means to be human." Lyra's eyes softened. "And that's the most important lesson of all. Humans aren't just survivors. We're creators of joy, of hope, of connection. And that's something no one, not alien, not machine, can ever take away." Kai nodded, feeling the truth of her words deep inside. The festival, the dancing, the shared laughter. It was more than entertainment. It was a reminder that humans had a power unlike any other in the universe. The power to inspire, to connect, and to create joy wherever they went. As they walked through the festival one last time, Kai felt a sense of purpose. He had learned that night and the next day that humans, despite their flaws and limitations, had something extraordinary. The ability to transform moments into meaning, to turn challenges into celebration, and to find joy in the act of living. And for Kai, the memory of dancing with Lyra, teaching others, and sharing in this cosmic lesson would remain forever a shining example of the best parts of humanity. The city was quiet now, the festival winding down as night fully embraced the skyline. Lights shimmered across the streets like liquid gold, and the soft hum of vehicles above created a gentle rhythm, almost like a lullaby. Kai walked beside Lyra, the memories of the past 2 days still alive in his mind. Every step felt lighter, as if the joy they had shared and inspired had become part of him. "You've changed since yesterday," Lyra said, smiling. "You're different." Kai laughed softly. "I think I have. Dancing, teaching. It's like I can see the world more clearly now. I notice things I didn't before. People, moments, even small acts of kindness." Lyra nodded. "That's the point. Humans are designed to notice, to feel, to share. Machines can calculate, aliens can observe. But humans can inspire." Kai looked at her, understanding fully now. She wasn't just talking about dancing or joy. She was talking about the human spirit itself, a force that could transcend limits, connect beings, and change perspectives. That spirit had been alive in every laugh of the children they taught, every alien who tried to mimic their steps, and every moment he had danced with her. As they walked through a quieter street, they came upon a small plaza where a few remaining festival-goers were gathered. A young human girl was teaching an alien child to move to the rhythm of a small instrument. Nearby, a group of humans laughed together, clapping to the beat they had learned earlier. The ripple effect of the joy they had shared the day before was visible everywhere. "Look," Lyra said softly. "It's spreading." Kai watched, feeling a warmth in his chest. It was one thing to dance, to feel joy, to connect with a single person, but it was another to see that joy move through a crowd, across species, and inspire others to try, to laugh, to connect. It was the legacy of what humans could do, small actions creating big impacts. "You know," Kai said, "I used to think humans were ordinary, that we just survived, like any other species. But now I see, we're extraordinary, in ways no one expects, not because of strength or speed, but because of our hearts, our courage, and our ability to create joy." Lyra smiled warmly. "Exactly. That's why I wanted to dance with you. To show you, and maybe even remind you, what humans are capable of. Sometimes we forget, hidden behind schedules, technology, or fear, but moments like this, they remind us." Kai nodded, feeling a deep sense of gratitude. The lessons of the past nights, dancing, teaching, sharing, were not just about movement. They were about connection, resilience, and hope. They were about showing that even small acts could make a universe of difference. They walked to a small rooftop overlooking the city, a quiet place away from the remnants of the festival. Kai leaned on the railing, looking at the glowing skyline. "I'll never forget this," he said. "Neither will I," Lyra replied. "But that's just the beginning. You can carry it with you. Share it with others. Humans have a way of leaving traces in the world. Little sparks that grow into something bigger." Kai thought about that. Maybe he couldn't change the galaxy alone, but he could teach, inspire, and share moments of joy wherever he went. That alone felt powerful. Lyra shifted her position, balancing effortlessly on her prosthetic leg. "You see, humans aren't perfect. We stumble, we fall, we fail. But we rise. We adapt. We keep moving. And in doing so, we inspire others to rise too." Kai smiled. "Just like you inspired me. And now it's your turn to inspire others," Lyra said, placing a hand gently on his shoulder. "It doesn't have to be dancing. It can be anything: kindness, creativity, courage. The spark we start can travel farther than we imagine." Kai felt a surge of determination. The galaxy was vast, full of wonders and challenges, but he had discovered something far more powerful: the ability to touch lives, to share joy, and to create moments that mattered. Humans had survived, thrived, and explored the stars not just because of intellect or technology, but because of their hearts. As the night deepened, the city lights shimmered, reflecting off the glass of nearby buildings like stars fallen to earth. Kai and Lyra stood silently, taking it all in. The festival had ended. The crowds had dispersed, but the energy remained a living proof of what they had created together. "You know," Kai said finally, "I think I understand what you meant last night. Humans, we're more than we realize. And joy, trust, and connection, they're our most powerful tools." Lyra nodded. "Yes. And now you can use them. Share them. Multiply them. That's the true legacy of being human." Kai thought about the children, the aliens, and the humans they had danced with. He remembered the laughter, the claps, the small victories of every step. He realized that every human action, no matter how small, had the potential to ripple outward, touching lives in ways he could never fully predict. "I want to remember this feeling," he said softly. "Not just the dancing, but everything. The connection, the joy, the inspiration." "You will," Lyra replied, "and it will guide you, even in the hardest moments." Humans have a way of turning challenges into opportunities for joy. You've felt it now. Carry it with you, and you'll inspire countless others. Kai felt a deep sense of peace. The city, the festival, the dancing, and Lyra's guidance had taught him a lesson he would never forget. Life was not just about survival or achievement, it was about feeling, connecting, and creating joy for oneself and for others. The night air was cool against his skin as he and Lyra began to walk back toward the city center. The streets were mostly empty now, but Kai felt the presence of all those they had touched, all the joy they had shared. It was like an invisible wave, moving quietly but powerfully through the city. Do you think others will keep dancing? Kai asked. I know they will, Lyra said confidently. Once people feel joy, they can't ignore it. It grows. It spreads. And sometimes, that's all the world needs, a spark. Kai smiled, thinking about the ripple effect of their simple actions. One dance had led to laughter, inspiration, and connection. One moment of trust had become a cosmic lesson in human resilience and joy. He looked at Lyra, grateful. Thank you for everything. You don't have to thank me, she said. Just keep moving, keep sharing, keep inspiring. That's all the thanks I need. They walked in silence for a while, each lost in their thoughts. Kai felt lighter than he had in years, filled with hope, purpose, and a sense of belonging. The universe was vast, unpredictable, and sometimes intimidating, but he knew one thing with certainty. Humans had a unique power, and he was lucky enough to have experienced it fully. Finally, they reached a quiet park at the edge of the city. The air smelled of flowers and ozone, a reminder of nature thriving even in the heart of a sprawling metropolis. Lyra sat on a bench, and Kai joined her. Do you think we'll dance again? He asked, half joking, half serious. Of course, Lyra said with a smile. But more importantly, we'll inspire others to dance, to move, to feel. And that's the best kind of dance there is. Kai leaned back, looking at the stars beginning to appear in the night sky. The city, the festival, and the lessons of the past days felt like a constellation of memories, each bright, beautiful, and guiding him forward. He realized that the joy he had discovered wasn't temporary. It was a part of him now. A spark that could ignite other sparks. A chain reaction of human spirit, connection, and resilience. Humans, Kai said softly, almost to himself, we're extraordinary, and we've only just begun. Lyra reached over and squeezed his hand. Yes, and now you know. Every moment, every connection, every act of joy. It's all part of the legacy we leave. And that legacy will last forever. Kai smiled, feeling a warmth that went deeper than happiness. It was fulfillment, understanding, and hope. He had been fooled into dancing, yes, but in the most unexpected and wonderful way. That dance had led him to see the truth. That humans, with all their imperfections, had the power to inspire, to uplift, and to create joy across the galaxy. As the night embraced them, Kai and Lyra sat together quietly, watching the city breathe beneath the stars. They didn't need words. The shared understanding, the joy, and the hope they carried were enough. In that moment, Kai realized the ultimate truth of being human. It wasn't strength, intelligence, or technology that made them remarkable. It was their hearts, their ability to feel deeply, to connect sincerely, and to create joy where none existed before. And in that quiet park, under the glowing city lights and the endless stars above, Kai understood that humans would always find a way to dance, to laugh, to connect, and to leave a legacy that no one could ever erase. The galaxy was vast, full of mysteries, but one thing was certain. The human spirit, once awakened, could shine brighter than any star. And with that knowledge, Kai smiled, ready to carry it forward, to inspire, and to dance through life, wherever the universe might take him.